Hello good people, this is Jason Irvin, aka The Janitor, here bringing you a quick question and answer session to respond to some of the questions that I had from last week's video regarding how I secure my network using Untangle. So I just want to jump right directly into the questions, get to answering them so that we're under that 10-minute video, keep everybody happy, get things going. So let's jump right into it. Let's see here. So what you can see here is the video we did last week, how I use Untangle to secure my home environment, part 1. But a few questions, and the first one came from Jason Morton. It goes up and says, dude, how's your power like? What's your power like? I want to go full server rack, but I am worried about my power bill spiking. So without giving out my address, I just want to show that my solar panels here, which I really don't even have a lot, but my solar panels, this is my home. This is my solar panels that are here. These actually power all of my my server rack, my entire room, my whole studio, everything that I'm using right here. My actual solar panels provide all the power for it. So it's not really a big deal per se. And I'm out here in Vegas, so you know, solar panels. Get solar panels, man. All right, so then we move down to question 2 from Tony West, and it says, how does Untangle Setup work? Is it a physical appliance, or does it sit on the network as a VM, or what? Well, it can be both, man. So my actual Untangle is running within Proxmox, and let me show you kind of what that looks like. So basically, let me explain this first. Proxmox is a hypervisor, and it's a bare bones hypervisor similar to ESXi. So VMware ESXi, Proxmox is the open source version of that. And what it does is it allows you to put various operating systems within that virtual environment. So let's jump right in here. Let me show you how this looks on my side. Let's see here. This is my Proxmox environment, and my Proxmox has my router sitting in here along with a lot of other things I have running in here. But let's see. Let me reconnect here. Search. All this is good. All right, cool. So let's see here. On my Proxmox here, what I want to show you was my router. So my router actually lives within Proxmox, and I believe the next question that's coming up will answer how I have everything broken down. But you can have this both physically and virtually. In this case, mine is virtually. But here is my wish I knew then, or I did do this before. I had my router actually in a hardware server, which is something that I would recommend. I wish I could go back to now, and I will. I just need to go get another server. I ended up selling that one new server that I had that was using I had Untangle just in as a hardware appliance. When you have it in a virtual environment like what I have here, there are limitations to what you can have powered on and what you can have powered off and still have your internet working, right? So if I have to reset my Proxmox environment just because, you know, like memory or it's just not acting quite right, what ends up happening is I have to shut off my router to shut down my Proxmox. I hope that makes sense. So moving it out of my virtual environment the way I have it now and putting it back into a hardware setup is my goal, and it's probably the best way to have it. But it does work in a virtual environment, and that's how I'm running it now. So I hope that answers that question. Let's move on to the next question real fast. We got Tony P. Another one of my friends. He goes, awesome video, man. Can you get into what your different hardware components are used for, how and why you segment your network, and maybe how you can keep your smart home appliances secure? All right, let's see if I can answer these quickly and in enough detail so that everybody kind of understands what's going on. So breaking it down, he said, can I get into what your different hardware components are used for? Since I'm using my Untangle in a virtual environment, first thing I want to do is show you all the actual ports, and I wrote it down on this screen so I could better recollect what actually is in here, because there's a lot going on. If you look actually at my entire network for my Proxmox setup, I have over, 17 ports. I have 16 utilized ports. 15 of those are Ethernet, and one of them is a fiber connection. So there's 17 ports in my entire, in that Google server, in that R710. For Untangle, I am utilizing, let's see here, let me switch to the router here and go to the hardware. So for my hardware, for my Untangle, I have 16 gigs of memory reserved for my Untangle router. I am using 16 threads, so it will be 2 sockets and 8 cores, which makes 16 threads as far as processing power. And where all the meat comes down here is on the network devices. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 network devices that are associated with my Untangled router. Those ports start with VMBR2, which that is my WAN port. So coming from the internet, one of my internet, so I have 2 cable internet connections coming in. One of them is going into port 2. The next one is port 3, which goes into my internal network. So from the network card, I have another port coming out one of the other Ethernet ports that goes directly into a switch. So we have the WAN port, then we have the LAN port, which is really all you need, quote unquote, to run Untangle is the WAN, and then another port that takes the information into the network. Then, as you know, I have a DMZ, and the DMZ is actually running on VMBR4. That is honestly just connected to itself, because the DMZ is separated from pretty much separated from everything else. The next port that I have is the guest network, and I will show you guys in just a second. I'll actually have a screen split or whatever showing what that is, how I have that connected. I am using a Bitdefender box. I am really big into Bitdefender as my AV for my home, for all of my family, for myself. And they have an appliance that's a web box, and like I said, I'll jump to that image soon. And that device is what I use for my guest network. So the guests actually connect to the Bitdefender box, which is double NATed into my network. So the Bitdefender box has its own NATed set of IP addresses underneath that, and all the clients connect to it. The Bitdefender box aggregates all of that traffic and sends it out of one pipe out of my Untangle router, which is connected to VMBR9. That's my guest network. Hopefully that makes sense. Keep it with me still? All right. So the VMBR11, which is this one here, that is going to Hacksville. So I have a whole separate Wi-Fi router that is running in bridge mode, so it's not actually routing anything, but it actually catches, it basically is an access point. It's catching all the traffic to connect into it, and then connecting that into the port VMBR11, so that's isolated as well. And then VMBR12, which is here, is that secondary WAN connection. Where I was talking in the previous video, having a commercial internet and also having a residential internet. So hopefully that talks about how all my ports are configured and how all the hardware is being utilized from the system, from the server into Untangle. Hope that makes sense. Let's go back to more of the question. See if I missed anything. I think I talked about that's how I'm segmenting my network. Again, the Bitdefender access point is it's not even running. It's running as a full router. It's running its own router with its own NATed addresses, and all my guests connect to that. And Bitdefender scans all of those boxes to make sure that there's no viruses that it can see on the surface level. And all the web traffic actually comes in through that Bitdefender box and then gets allocated to the guest users. The internal network is all of my systems that are connected directly to my switch, and I actually have an access point that connects. It's another Wi-Fi access point that connects into the switch that allows access wirelessly into my internal network, and that was really locked down as well. Again, my DMZ, that is only the virtual appliances that's within my Proxmox environment and that are managed by Untangle is in the DMZ, so it can't see anybody else. It just touches the internet, does what it has to do within that. That's where my email server is, and it can't. It's segmented that way. I don't want anything to happen. If something happens to my email server, I just want it to be in its own network, and that's why it has its own port. The Hacksville, we talked about last week having the tunnel VPN. So a lot of that tunnel VPN magic is done in Hacksville. So if you didn't check out the previous video, check that out, and I talk about those the tunnel VPN and how that works. So I hope. Oh, and the last thing he said, maybe you can tell us how we keep home appliances secure. The way I keep home appliances secure is I run all of my smart TVs, all the smart IoT devices, my door locks, all those go through the Bitdefender. So they're on the guest network. They actually don't even touch the internal network at all. So that's how I secure that, by moving them on the guest network, letting Bitdefender do its own scans, and being able to control it with that device. So that's all I have there. If you want me to deep dive into more of your questions, you let me know. Leave it in the comment below. I'll get right on it and try to answer it and clear up any miscommunications that I may have given in this video. But I think I should be getting close to my 10-minute mark. So I want to let you guys, first thank you guys for commenting on this video, watching it, giving me a like, thumbs up, subscribing. I want to let everybody know, stay focused, never quit. And I'm always here. If you have any questions, ask them up, and I'll make a video for you and try to answer it to the best of my abilities. All right? So until next time, talk to y'all soon. For sure. Gone.